Hello BookTube. Today for Tag Tuesday, I'm going to be doing the L tag. The L tag is the latest in the continuing alphabet book tag series created by Jim of Jim's Books, Reading, and Stuff. L is for Louis Lamour, the prolific best-selling writer famous for his Western fiction. What is your favorite of Louis Lamour's novels? I've never read a novel by Louis Lamour. Western fiction is not a genre I read. I probably should try to correct that once my thing with fiction is over and I'm back to reading and enjoying most of the fiction I read or try to read. And so maybe Louis Lamour will be on that list. I do have a sweet tooth a bit for weird fiction, for weird Western, which is a subgenre of science fiction and fantasy that looks at the West or Western fiction with a weird lens. L is for love. What is your favorite literary love story? Now, this question gave me quite some trouble. And when I tried to do this video, or try to film this video a few minutes ago, I blanked. Romance is, while romance is a typical or part of most fiction, it's not necessarily the focus of the fiction that I prefer to read, science fiction and fantasy. So I spent quite a bit of time racking my brains to answer this question, and I finally hit on it. And that is the love story of Gerion and Heracles in Anne Carson's poetic novel, long poem, however you want to define it, Autobiography of Red, which came out in the late 90s or very, very early 2000s. It's a take on the myth of Gerion. In this case, it's updated to the near present, and it's about a young man named Gerion who is red and with wings. And it's a good chunk of the book is about his romantic history with another young man named Heracles. And I've been thinking about Autobiography of Red for a few weeks now. I used to have it. I read it years ago for a class. One of my professors was a poetry specialist, and there was a specific class called Senior Studies or something like that, where basically the professor teaching the class can do whatever the heck they wanted to do. And he wanted to teach a class on long poems or poetic novels or modern epics, whatever. And Autobiography of Red was one of the poems that he selected, and I really enjoyed it. Definitely one of the best of the ones he picked. And I had it in my collection for years, and I got rid of it, and I've been wanting it back. So I'm thinking definitely Autobiography of Red might be showing up in my August book haul. And I will read it very quickly afterwards. But anyway, so Autobiography of Red, or the love story of Gerion and Heracles for this one. L is for like. Have you liked this video? Yes, I have. I think I was the 10th like, maybe the 9th, but I think it was 10th. L is for language. Have you any books in a language you can't read? No, I don't. Sorry about that. What languages can you read in? Only English. I took Spanish in high school, but that was so long ago that I've lost most of it. L is for lingo. Are there any words in other languages that have no equivalent in English? Yes. What they are, I don't know. L is for literary fiction. What is your understanding of the term literary fiction? So, literary fiction is, for the most part, realistic fiction that aspires to a higher quality of writing skill and character development, and maybe occasionally plot development, but plot development is very, very, very low on the totem pole. It's mostly the quality of the writing and the quality of the character development is what literary fiction is. And I think for the most part it tends to realism, although it can branch off into other genres. There is a subgenre of science fiction and fantasy that's literary science fiction and fantasy, in which the writing and the character development is better, or aspires to a higher quality, I should say. Not that that ambition is always achieved, but anyway. L is for Lolita. Have you read it? What did you think of it? I have not. The only work by Vladimir Nabokov that I've read is Pellfire, I think. I think I read that for a modern fiction class, or modern postmodern fiction class. And I quite liked it, if my memory serves. L is for London. What is your favorite book set in London? I'm going to go with The Hours by Michael Cunningham. Wait, I think that's partially set in London. Is it? Because there's a part of the novel that's about the last days of Virginia Woolf's life. And I think she committed suicide in London, or she was living in London at the time. But I could be wrong. If it's not, if I'm wrong about that, then I'll go with Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, because that definitely is set in London. Also, Kraken by China Mieville, I quite liked, and that is also set in London. Although, whether a favorite, I don't know. L is for librarian. Do you have a favorite librarian? Mark Richardson of Richardson Reads. L is for last. What is the last book you read? Dictatorland by Paul Kenyon. I read it over the weekend. Surprised I managed to actually read it pretty much Saturday and Sunday. I thought I would go over into yesterday, but I didn't. Dictatorland is a history of post-colonial Africa, in which 7 dictators are basically the history of their rise to power and their corruption, of how they stole the natural resources of the various countries they were president of. So it's a very powerful, very gut-punchy book. Particularly the last chapter. Oh, it ends on a gut punch. So yeah, definitely I highly, highly recommend Dictatorland. And I will talk more about Dictatorland, obviously, on Friday when I do weekly reads. So that was the L tag booktube. If you would like to do this tag, consider yourselves tagged, and I will see you here in a few minutes with another tag video. So until then, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.